breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, with the folded clover on my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Four Leaf Clover post-match reaction to Dortmund 7, Celtic 1. I think we all had a wee touch of optimism before this game started tonight, and how that has disappeared is pretty unbelievable. So let's get right into it. Paddy, I'll start with yourself. Let's go for the start of the game here.
I don't know, what do you say, Andy? Again, we talked about it at the weekend. We talked about it on the weekend pod there that, we wanted to try and get a foothold in the game, not make the mistakes that we've made over the last couple of years by conceding early. And that means making yourself difficult to beat, giving yourself a chance to bed into the game, get your players a touch on the ball. But again, we just keep repeating the same mistakes year in, year out, and that's the frustrating thing about it. We've been flying high, and it just shows you that the mistakes that we make against the likes of Kilmarnock and Motherwell and Dundee in Scotland, 9 times out of 10 you get away with them mistakes in Scotland, but at this level they end up in the back of your net, and you just simply cannot concede the possession and give the ball away, especially in around your own penalty area. You can't give the ball away at this level and not expect to be punished. And we were punished right royally there tonight. Quality side with quality players all over the park. And as I say, I just don't think we even set up. We weren't set up right at the start. We were far too open. We were far too attacking minded. I know the way we've been playing in Scotland, we've been flying high, but surely there has to be a realization there that this is a step up in opposition, a step up in quality. You need to go in there and, be like other teams, like Gordon Strachan managed to do it, Neil Lennon managed to do it. You make yourself difficult to beat. Yes, it's maybe not the Celtic way of playing, but you need to make yourself difficult to beat and allow yourself to get a foothold in the game. And too often that's what we don't do. We're a goal down in 4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, and you're chasing the game from day one, and then you chase a side like Dortmund, you'll be chasing all night. So a very, very sobering performance.
Jerry, yourself, your outlook as you're coming on here right after full time.
I don't know where to start, Andy. Seriously, it's the same movie every year. It's the same movie, same mistakes. By the way, Rodgers, which will take a lot of things for that tonight. We're trying to go toe to toe with elite teams away. It's not working. We need to, it's like Paddy says, we need to be tighter, we need to find a way. I would have go either own quicker, get the ball to park quicker, hold it up, get down, make fouls, do something, take the pressure off the defence. I mean, Schmeichel saved us for doing there. But I just don't know where to start with. I mean, we've got to start changing it. It's just, most of it. I mean, that's 37 away games and 2 wins away. To me, that's just, and 4 draws. And we're still trying to play the same way, and we keep hearing, we're going to learn. We're not learning. I mean, all right, we Rodgers at night needs to change his tactics, but what can you do if you talk to somebody all week and they go out and make basic errors? See the amount of times they gave the ball away.
Yeah.
5, 10-yard passes. Criminal. I mean, that's basic stuff.
Yeah.
No tracking. Big trusty. He must have let that guy, what do you call him? That Brent. That Brent was probably made too all over the place in the first half.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just shocked with it. Obviously we've done well in the first European game. But we can't get carried away with beating. We can have beat St Johnstone 20-0 on Saturday. It makes no difference going to Dortmund in that kind of arena.
Yeah.
You need to be braver and see on Saturday how you need to have about 5 balls in the park on Saturday to keep everybody happy, Andy. See the night, nobody wanted the ball. They were hiding. Midfield was non-existent tonight. Just obviously quite raging. Just what can you do?
That's Paul makes an excellent point there, Paul McFarlane. You know, and that's true. These teams will spend 30 million in one player. You know, and that's where but the disturbing thing for me and the worrying thing, again, as Jerry says, year in, year out, when we go away from home, our players seem to lose the ability to do the basics. You know, that's the basics tonight. You know, you're not talking about to be fair, Dortmund were good. There's absolutely no doubt about it, but they didn't even need to be good. And especially in the first 20, 25 minutes of that game, you know, the amount of times that we just concede the ball without being under any pressure, fullbacks giving the ball away on the edge of your own box. Look at the first goal. Even before that, as Jerry said, Schmeichel made a couple of saves, and we were the same. There was a replay that showed near enough the entire Celtic team were all pulled away to the one side of the field, and they played a wee quick ball into the middle, and all of a sudden Dortmund were rampaging through the middle. You'd have thought it was a Sunday morning game you were watching. Just absolutely pulled all over the place, and you know, players seem to lose the ability to make 5-yard passes. You know, even the good players that we've been talking about recently, like McGregor and Engels, you know, just the wee simple 3, 4, 5-yard passes, the wee triangles. You're giving the ball away, conceding the ball under no pressure, and that's when you do that in the final third of your pitch. You know, as I say, we can. You know, we maybe did that against St Johnstone a couple of times last weekend, and we didn't even notice because we weren't punished for it. But at this level, you will be punished. You will absolutely be punished. 9 times out of 10, it'll end up in the back of your net. If you're dealing with players up front like the quality that Dortmund have, they're going to hurt you. They're absolutely going to hurt you. And we were punished probably every single time that we made a mistake. We were punished. And on the 1 or 2 occasions that we made mistakes, that we weren't punished, it was down to Schmeichel making saves.
Aye.
So it's just, you know, it's just mind-boggling that we keep doing it. And we never seem to learn. And like we've said before, we have an elite Premiership manager in charge, and it's mind-boggling for me that he doesn't seem to be able to find a way to at least just go in and make us tough to beat away from home in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing is, Paddy, as soon as CCV wasn't he was injured. To me, that was a task even harder again. Straight away. When he's not going out there helping us out. And see, we talk about, we keep hearing, we've got to learn. It's even the European players, they're cuter and everything today. When they get tackled, they go down. They make sure they get booked. We get down and get back up. It's the same things for years. We're not getting any cuter at fucking playing against these teams.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you think this is a perfect storm of Celtic playing absolutely awful as a collective, as in the whole team? I suppose you could say in certain terms that Schmeichel had passed marks, because without him it would have been a lot more. And Dortmund playing really well. The culmination of the two ends up with results like that, and it's not the first result we've had in Europe like that away from home. Under Rodgers, it's probably the third one. Heavy defeat we've had. And according to Brendan, this is him most prepared for the Champions League, is where he is now. And I think we've been sucked into with the results domestically and against Bratislava that we're better than we actually are. And when you're actually up against teams who are levels and levels above you, that shows you how big the gap is with quality there. No matter if we go and spend 11 million on an attacking midfielder for the Bundesliga, you know, you need players that are all over the park. It's all right having Engels in the middle of the park, but if you've not got the quality round about him, I thought Kalmack was way off it the night as well. I don't think Engels had a great game. You know, I really don't. I think our midfield, every single player, they couldn't string 2 passes together. Dortmund were on them right away, and a team that's normally very comfortable on the ball really, really struggled. You could see the panic setting in. The passes weren't making the play, they were closing down, and we were getting caught out with far too many schoolboy errors. And that's insulting to a schoolboy with some of the things we lost tonight, you know. I know we do say schoolboy errors, but they'd have probably done better. And with some of the scenarios tonight, I think you can look at it in isolation and you can go, well, we did have a positive result at home, but the next game's going to be Atalanta away from home, you know, and is it going to be much of the same? Yeah. I really didn't expect us to go and win. I was hopeful. I was confident that we would put on a good performance and whatever would be, but we never turned up tonight at all in any shape or form. And I think it's embarrassing again. I mean, there's no other word for it.
No.
But embarrassing.
See, the thing is, but Andy, you've got 5 subs, right? There's no law saying they can't come on after 20 minutes, mate. I don't get that. You change it with Ida, get Ida on, and Ida's still the 63rd minute. It's still something like a manual all the time. Or is it, tell me when it's 60 minutes and I'll get somebody on. No, that. I just thought you could get Ida on, he could have been up the park, got the ball quicker, longer, just play up quicker to them. Get down, try and break the play down a wee bit. Big Sutton was brilliant at that. Big Sutton would do that in Europe. The ball would go up to him, he'd get down, he would make fouls. I mean, we had to do something. We had to change them, they were rampant. I feel as if when we play away in Europe, you think the other teams get 12 players. The way they move the ball a bit quicker and just a lot of student confidence and all. They're all confident against St Johnstone. To me, a player's a player. You should be confident against whoever you're up against. There's Kuhn tonight. He got a chance in the second half. He was cutting inside or cutting wide and cutting in on Saturday. But he just had a feeble shot. The confidence is just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
No, man.
And the weird thing is, Jerry, is that these are players who are confident. They're full of confidence, especially the game against Bratislava. But it's simply, it just looks as if, look, we could go to Atlanta and play reasonably well and still lose the game, but not get an absolute scalping.
Yeah,
it's that progress. No getting a getting your arse scalped. I don't think it is. I think, we need to try and get away from these absolute poundings in Europe, because we're supposed to be a big, prestigious European club. It's one of the European Cup. It's seen as a worldwide, huge club around the world, and we simply don't perform in the biggest competition in Europe. And even if we know that we day dropped into the Europa League, but even when we were in that and in the Europa Conference, we can't perform either. Yeah. It's just, there's levels to it, and I think we could dominate Scottish football to the end of time, and I think that the problem is trying to up that level into Europe, and it's such a high standard that you're trying to get to go from that to that, and then to come back down to that when you go to domestic football again, and it's difficult, and it's painful to watch at times. Really, really painful. How do you think? Does any of the players get any pass marks tonight, apart from Schmeichel, I would say? But is there anybody else on that part that you said, well, you could see something in it that they're trying to do? Maida is obviously going to run his heart out for the team, but I don't think anybody performed. I think as a collective, the whole team were poor, very, very poor.
Absolutely. And what we said earlier is this not being able to just do the basics. That we had teams of the past who were up against equally dominant opposition. I can remember Strachan's team playing against AC Milan. You can go back to Lennon's team about Barcelona. Maybe can go back even further again. And like we went out there. We went out to Barcelona and got a draw in the Nou Camp. And that's what I'm saying. Fair enough. David Marshall had the game of his life, but we defend it well, and we defend it like Trojans when we had to. And it's this. I don't know where this is. This seems to afflict us when we go. Our players seem to just all of a sudden they play as if they don't know each other. And the normal simple 3-yard passes or 2-yard passes, we can't make them. And we're giving the ball away. We're just giving. I said that in the group chat during the game. Like, just the next time a Celtic player takes a possession, just count the seconds until he just gives the ball away needlessly. And that's exactly what it is. You can't do that at this level. The ball is gold dust. At this level, you can give the ball away, and against this type of opposition, you could literally spend the next 5 minutes trying to get the ball back, and that's a strength sapping game when you're running around trying to chase players and try to get the ball back. Then when something happens that you do win the ball back, you've expended that much energy running about after it. You haven't the power in your legs to do anything with it. That's why I'm saying to you, the good teams at this level keep the ball. That's what they do. They make you do the running. They keep the ball. And
your ball retention in it was non-existent.
Retention was absolutely, as you said, Andy, schoolboy stuff. Have you seen that at the park on a Saturday morning? You'd be standing on the touchline shouting. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And that's, going in there, lining up there 4-3-3. Like, I don't know. I'm not the manager, but you know what? See, if you'd wanted to try something there the night, I'd have went with 4 in the back and 5 in the middle and 1 man up front. I'd have started with Ida up front. And I would have said, right, you know what? We're going to string 5 across the middle. We're going to put 4 at the back, and we're going to, for the first 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to make ourselves hard to play through. And then we'll see where we go. Allow ourselves to get the players get a touch. We were a goal down tonight before some players had touched the ball.
That's the thing, and we went on about it in the last pod, Paddy, that, and you just mentioned it yourself about, try and gradually work your way into the game, and you start losing early goals, giving away early penalties, and it's same old Celtic, the same story, mate. And then you're
it's our Achilles heel, Andy, in Europe. We talked about it. You and me talked about it at the weekend, and I said that I just want to see us try and do something different, and that we're not chasing the game after 5 or 6 minutes, and there you are. Lo and behold, we do the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's what I say. Lennon said it in commentary. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get a different result. And as I say, I'm sorry, but Brendan went to Paris and tried to attack PSG. We took the lead through Dembele, and we ended up getting beat 7-1. You can't do that against these teams. You need to go there and do. You look at the Scotland national team as well. Like, Scotland don't even do that. Scotland are playing away to one of the top nations. Scotland will go out and at least try to make themselves hard to beat. And give themselves a chance to compete. Scotland won't go gung-ho and attacking West Germany or Spain or France or whatever. Scotland don't do that. And this is what I'm saying. Yes, we want to see the team playing a particular way, but we're all educated enough to know that you need to maybe do things differently when you're playing one of the big guns in Europe. And that's what we need to learn from. We need to try a different method. We need to, if that means being more defensive or whatever, not necessarily for the whole game, but certainly to get us through the first 10, 15 minutes to allow us to say, right, okay, we're still in this after, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If you're a goal down against a team like Dortmund after 5 or 10 minutes, there's only going to be one outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, but that's the thing, Paddy. We need the luck. We need the penalties and the luck to go away and get a draw against these teams. We seem to always let these teams have that, get a man sent half. It's good that we kept our discipline tonight for a wee change.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting that coming after a.
But you don't think that second penalty, Jerry, was fucking wasn't much in it,
Andy, this is what I'm talking about, Andy. The European players will make it look even more like a penalty.
Yeah.
They're tutoring us.
Yeah.
We don't. We just get up, we get tackled, we get up and we go on with it. They get tackled, they roll about, and the referee gets them booked. It's hard enough getting the ball after these guys with both feet shielding the ball, but when you do get the ball after them, they get done.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for everybody else. They're working their ass off trying to get the ball. But it's just the same old story, Faze. We could talk to you all night about that.
Yeah. That's a great point, because you do feel sorry for the fans that have spent all that money and went there, and people think, you're just there for a jolly. You want to see your team perform, and these guys that go to, yourself, Paddy, you travel for Ireland to go to every Celtic home game and travel abroad as well. You want to see something for your kind of efforts that you're putting in, and I think the night, I just didn't see we were so slack. And all right, the Heats can go down after losing, say, 5 goals and all that. But they were so slow at times, and no reaction to second balls or losing the ball. There was no I'm going to fight to try and get it back. It was so bad. Such a contrast with what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
And it's just, obviously, I said before, I was quietly confident and hoping for more, because we've got a pretty good defensive record this season. And I know Dortmund recently have leaked a few goals, and I thought, well, there could be a few goals either side. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting it to be so one-sided. It's concerning. And I don't want to go the score here, right? But you know, as and I think we've got every right to be concerned.
Aye, and not only that, Andy. Like, to be fair, right? We talked about that. You know, trying to maybe keep things tight early on, right? So it didn't work for whatever reason. It didn't work. We were 3-1 down, 2-1 down, and we were 3-1 down, and that's the stage of the game, I think, where everybody could see what was happening. We could see at 2-1 that this could be a doing here. And again, this is what I would say. You know, Brendan, as Jerry said, why not make a change? Why not change the thing at that stage to say, right, hold on, you know, we're 3-1 down here. We don't want this to get any worse here. So for the next 15, 20 minutes up to half time, we're going to change the thing. And we're going to work our socks off to make sure it stays at only 3-1. Instead of that, they didn't seem to do anything. They just kept doing the same thing. And, you know, then it goes to 4, then it goes to 5, you know, and it's just, that's, as Paul said earlier there, Paul, one of the viewers said, Brendan doesn't seem to have a plan B in Europe. He doesn't seem to have this plan B in Europe. And that's, for me, that's very disturbing, given that, you know, we thought we had learned and we thought we had progressed. And, you know, as we talked about at the weekend, for me, tonight, a bit of progress would have been at least seeing us putting up a sort of a battling performance, even if you lost the game 2-1, whatever.
But at least,
at least it would have shown that, you know what, we know what we're about now. We can, but it just showed that we've learned nothing. We've learned absolutely nothing. We're still going out with this naive approach that, you know, that we can take these guys on. And again, somebody said that during the commentary. Somebody actually said that during the commentary, that we would say this about other teams in Scotland, but like somebody would said that there tonight. How many of those? How many Celtic players would Dortmund sign tonight if they could sign any of them? You know, and that's the thing. You're going up against better players in every position. You know, so it's a wee bit like the way we dominate teams in Scotland. That's how the St Johnstones and the Kilmarnocks and the Dundees must feel when they play us. But it's just this naivety, you know, and you know, like we never seem to learn. And this is what I have to wonder. I just wonder what goes on the training pitch. What goes on when they're preparing for the games? What conversations are being had? What are they looking at when they're doing their drills and they're doing their, you know, like, it's just, you know what, it doesn't matter what level of football you played at. I mean, you know, if you're playing against a better opposition, the first thing that your manager's going to tell you is to say, right, these guys are probably better than us in every department here. So the first thing that we will have to do is work our absolute socks off to shut them down and close them and make tackles, and, you know, and that just wasn't there. That just wasn't there. We weren't working hard enough. Dortmund were running through us as if we weren't there. You know, the first 2 or 3 goals were a joke. You know what I mean? Joke defensively. You know, so
that's bad. It's the same goals in Europe for 20 odd years, Paddy. The teams don't even work hard. They don't even work hard for the goals. They just come too easy for them. I mean, when we get beat as well, it's not as if the teams worked hard to get their goals against us. But we say we're not learning, we keep getting the same results. But if there's been different players in different teams, it's the same tactics. We're too gung ho playing away. We can't go toe to toe with better players. It's just no, we can't do that. I don't know why the manager thinks we can do that. We've got to try and we're doing, you say, 4-1-5-1. Schmeichel's still playing for the back, out to Johnston or Taylor, and try to play the wee ball in the midfield. The midfield weren't interested in taking it, they weren't comfortable.
No.
We're not comfortable taking it.
That was ideal for Ida. If the midfield's no doing the job, bypass them.
Bypass them, Andy.
Get up to the big man.
Just for 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, just play long balls and see if the big man can hold it up and bring them. You know, again, and even the way the game started, it was a disaster for us, obviously, the way it started, and we were probably a bit unlucky. They got the break of the ball, and Schmeichel brought the guy down. So, but then we managed to get back, and we got an equaliser through a simple move, ball into the box, boom, Maeda scores. And that's for me again. That's instead of, we didn't seem to have anybody that was said, right, guys, come on now, we're back in this here. We've got off to a terrible start, but we're level again. Again, there didn't seem to be any collective, there doesn't seem to be anything to say. Do you know what? We are back in this here again. Let's tidy up now. But sure, we don't even give ourselves 2 minutes. And you're behind again, and you can't take away from the finishing of the guy. But it's just the naivety. It's just scary. It's just absolutely scary. It's.
And what's going to happen here, don't you? We are going to go and play Ross County and smash them, and then when I eventually come to play Atalanta and go away, the shitters are going to whip us again in it, because it's almost like a recurring nightmare that you're living again, and it's back to squeaky bum time, getting away from home in Europe. When we were so optimistic, had a really good feeling about the team and stuff like that, and again, it's all about levels, and I think there's a good kind of measure here that where we are at when it comes to the elite competition in Europe. When it comes to quality, we've got a lot more work to do, and you could fling money at it. We have, technically, when it comes to our spending standards in the Scottish League, we have flung money at it. Brendan's admitted himself that he was quite happy with. Thought he was more. Personally, I didn't think we were prepared. I think we needed another 2 or 3 players, quality players. But Brendan says he was happy, so we believe Brendan, because Brendan always tells the truth. Remember, so we're all kind of along with him, but we certainly weren't. And Rory Hamilton in commentary actually made a good point, because he said that it's quite disrespectful if they've been quite disrespectful to Dortmund, the way they've came and set up, that think they're just going to play the same way that they can domestically, and that's really when you get picked up. You get picked off now. Did you hear it as well, Jerry?
We can't. That's just common sense.
Yeah,
you're up against a better team. You've got to work harder, shut them down, sit tight. You can't just go, well, you're a good player, I'm a good player, but you're better, so just go passing through the middles, and they're going to crucify you.
Yeah,
a better player will crucify you.
Yeah,
it's basic stuff.
Yeah,
we talk about learning. Even Martin O'Neill's teams get beat, but Bayern will get beat off Bayern 2-1 and all that. Paddy, Porto.
that's what we're saying.
Juventus 4-3. That's what I'm saying. We're not saying about losing. They're going to lose games. They're good teams. Let's see why we're losing it.
Yeah, we
need to get back to a way where we can just say first 25 minutes, keep the game tight. We don't have to go gung ho.
Yeah,
it seems to be just the way we know. See, the elite teams, the big teams win their home games and they grab wee draws away.
Yeah,
that's enough to get them into the next round.
Yeah,
it's the manner in which we're losing the goals as well. They're so quick fire one after the other, and we seem to get caught out that way all the time.
It just seems to be as soon as we get the one goal, Andy, we just collapse.
Yeah, like we could have been 7 or 8 down at half time. When you look at it, when you look at the saves that Schmeichel made, and there was 1 or 2 other wee occasions where Dortmund maybe just didn't pick the right pass, that late on in the move, and it was scary. Like, it was actually scary how bad it could have been. Like we were talking about it here at half time, and we were saying, isn't it? It's bad whenever you're thinking you've got off late at 5-1. You know what I mean? And that's exactly the way it was. But as I say, we keep saying this, and we do. As far as Scotland's concerned, Brendan, you can't argue with his record. But for me, I think it was Paul who mentioned earlier on that his lack of plan B. You need to have something else to plan for. You need to have something, because it's every game in Europe, especially, it's not just going to go the way the games go in Scotland. A game in Europe can change by 1 goal or a pass or a sending off or whatever. You need to be able to react to that and do something differently. And for me, the night where we really lost that game tonight was when it went to 3-1. That was the time where I was actually saying, you know what, we're in danger of getting a real doing here. Dortmund could pretty much score whatever they want to score here. And that
was a case to score it well. Aye.
That was the time for me. When it went to 3-1, that's the time I'd have been saying, you know what, we need to make changes here. We need to get 5 men at the back or 4 men in the 4 in the midfield, 5 in the midfield, whatever. We need to stuff this game up here and at least get in at half time, 3-1 down, and see where we are then. But he didn't. He still persisted with the same thing. No change. It's still, and this short passing on the edge of your own box, trying to do that against a team like Dortmund. It was just absolute. It was football suicide.
Especially when they've already been caught out doing it, and they continue to do it and continue to do it. And it's like, when are you going to learn? When's the manager going to learn? When's the manager going to instruct them to change a game plan and try something different? And Paul's absolutely right when he said there's no plan. Actually, the same question with Big Ange. He's not got a plan B. So it's not as if it's just him, but it just seems to be as a club. And this has been so many different players that have went away from home with Celtic and failed miserably. So it's through the club. Sorry, Jerry, on you go, mate.
No, sorry, Andy. No, I mean, just talk about him, mate. There's Kyogo there anyway. There was nothing getting put through to him anyway. There was nothing happening. The midfielders never slipped a ball through all night to him.
Aye, they couldn't get the ball.
No.
And anytime they go before they try to pass it, somebody they were losing it.
We kept giving the ball away. We just kept giving the ball away. We get the ball in a sort of a half decent position where you're thinking, right, we could maybe mount an attack here, and then somebody just gives the ball away. And a Kyogo's made a run, somebody's made a run wide, but they just give the ball away. The passing, that's what I say. The short passing, the wee triangles, the things that we do week in, week out, just seem to go out the window. We just seem to surrender the possession, and that's what. At this level, you will get absolutely crucified for that. There's no two ways about that. When you're playing teams of the standard of opposition that we've been playing in Dortmund tonight, you're going to get punished for that. That's what those teams do. They keep the ball and they make you run and they make you run and they make you work, and they do not give the ball away. When they give the ball away, it's a collector's item. But we just seem to concede the possession. You think it was I think it was the last goal there tonight. Was it the last goal? Johnson has the ball in the right back area, and the ball on there is hammered down the touchline as far away from the goals as you can get it, and he tries a wee clever pass inside, lose the ball into the box, bang, another goal. Again, and that's just what we did all night long. As I say, it's just so frustrating when you're watching it. And we have good players. They've proved that this year. We have good players, but as I say, we need to think about how we do things differently when we go away from home in Europe. Maybe it won't always be like that. Maybe if you're playing some of the lesser teams, you might be able to have a go. Like that Bratislava team, we might be able to line up and have a go at them away from home. But when you're going away to the likes of Dortmund, and we're going to be going to Atalanta shortly as well, and if you're up against those better teams away from home, you need to have some kind of a game plan that gives you a chance to just get a foothold and get your bearings in the game, get everybody a touch on the ball, and keep the game tight for the first 10 or 15 minutes. But as I say, we just seem to do the same thing year in, year out. And we talked about it at the weekend, Andy, where we were quietly confident about the way we were playing. There's always that wee nagging doubt in your mind that, these guys could hurt us if we keep making the same mistakes that we've been doing. And that's exactly the way it turned out.
I'm just brought this comment up here. Obviously, we have not seen the kind of post-match interviews, but I'm no surprised he's come out with that, because it's not the first time we've heard that for Brendan after a result like that. So what else is he going to say? He's going to say that, but obviously we don't move on and we don't learn from it, because in these type of games, it's not the first time it's happened. So we'll see what happens here. I think there's anything else to talk about. I think it's going to be one of the post-match shows where we're not going to be on for an hour, I reckon, because that's just about us covered.
There's only so much you can say, Andy, and that's the thing. You're not, we're not going over the top, and we're not going to throw Brendan under the bus for one performance. But as we said, we just want to see this year. My idea of progress would have been if we could at least put up a decent performance away from home. In most of the games, and if not them all, but certainly the most of them. If we put up a decent performance and at least give ourselves a shout of qualifying for the next stage, but to sit here and be talking exactly the way we've been talking over the last couple of years is just like Andy, you and me talked about it again about, we can't keep going away from home in Europe and getting embarrassed and getting a doing.
Yep.
You know, like,
So
I mean, there's a, I mean, you have to look at, you only have to look at other teams. There are other teams that are, you know, similar to yourself. They're capable of going away from home in Europe and making themselves hard to beat. You know, they might not be the greatest teams in the world, but they're capable of going away and making themselves difficult to beat and defend. And that's the thing, as Jerry said, if you know before you go out that you're up against better players probably in every position, so you know the guy that's marking you or you're marking him, he's a better player than you. Well, then the only alternative you have there is to work your socks off. You have to work doubly hard there to try to combat that. If you can't cope with that guy's ability, the only thing you can do is roll your sleeves up and work hard and make sure that you do your best so this guy's not getting the better of you. But this is where all over the park, that's what we said. That's the disturbing thing. It just wasn't one player. You know, it was a malaise in the whole team. The whole team just, I mean, the guys that we've been talking about this year so far, McGregor, Engels, Kuhn, the guys that we've been saying are Maida even, you know, the guys that we've been talking about this season, you know, just seem to be, you know, it just seemed to, I don't know, it just seemed to be this, we're afflicted by this away from home in Europe. Players seem to just lose the ability to do the basics, things that they would do in their sleep, you know, and you're screaming at the TV going, what are you doing?
I know.
What are you,
I don't know what I wanted to just turn the telly off, and if I wasn't doing this post match, I think I'd have just turned it off at half time, mate, and just went in my bed. That's the way I was feeling. But we have to soldier on and do. But now we'll be on doing post match, whether we lose or win or draw or whatever. We'll still be here doing it because it's not the greatest thing to do. I've got to be honest, and I've done quite a few of them. Me and Scotty, well, we've no won the game. But you still need to do it. Jerry, anything else to say before we?
No, just same. We just get the same tomorrow. We need to learn and stuff like that. But I don't know. I can't learn. We need to try it. Hopefully, Brendan changes Atlanta. Yeah. I don't know if he will. To maybe stick to what he's been trying to get. Might take years to come across, but I don't know if he'll. Sometimes don't get that time. You need to do something. We'll go back to him. I'm not been making excuses, but CCV's massively needed in there.
Yeah,
he's massively needed, Andy.
Right.
He misses out.
Yeah,
I honestly feel Skills is coming on all the time improving, but he's just looking after his own game. He'll not be talking to MD. Trusty will hardly. Big CCV will be talking to Taylor, talking to Skills. Yeah. He'll be the one talking to everybody.
Yeah,
but we Trusty just get in there and doesn't know MD, and Skills will just play his own game. To me, that's a big loss for us tonight, CCV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And especially
even the VAR situation, Paddy.
Yeah,
you're sitting there. You're here to celebrate now.
Yeah,
you're here to celebrate to see if it's a goal or not, isn't you? So even that, I don't think I celebrated the goal because I was waiting to see, and that there's just killing football now.
But do you not think that's just exactly what we said earlier on about the way we set up? You know, like what would have been wrong tonight with saying, do you know what, we're going to have to sacrifice one of the two wingers here. Fair enough, you might want to keep Kyogo up front, or you could have started with Ida. But you know, say I would have started with, I would have looked and said, you know what, we'll start with Mida. He's a player flying high. We'll leave Kuhn on the bench and we'll stick another body in the middle of the field.
You know what I mean? Get Hatate in there as well.
Yeah, just say, right, you know, we'll put Hatate in there or whatever. Yeah. We'll stick another body in the middle of the field. We can even drop McGregor to sit just in front of the back four. Just say to Callum, right, see the first 20 minutes, just sit in front of the back four and let these other players do the run and do the chasing and make ourselves a wee bit, at least make ourselves hard to beat. But those first 10, 15 minutes, it was just, you know, just that you could have drove an Ulster bus through the defence. You know, and that's, you know, especially when we knew that we were going to be without Vickers. We knew that before the game, and we knew that Trusty was going to be up against it, obviously, because he hasn't played much. But that's why, you know, I can't for the life of me understand why Brendan didn't go a wee bit defensively. You know, just at the start, as I say, sacrifice one of the wingers, you know, or sacrifice Kyogo and throw on the big man in case it wasn't going well. Where you could always say, right, you know what? You see, for 10 or 15 minutes, we'll just knock the ball long and see if Ida can hold it up and at least give us a chance. If Ida holds the ball up in their half of the field, it gives the team a chance to get up the park. That's what we weren't doing in the first half. We couldn't get out. We just couldn't get out. You know, so
Paul McFarlane's wanting a song after you, Paddy. Paul McFarlane, he wants a song after you. I don't think this is I don't think he's in the right mood to be singing
There's
tonight.
not much to sing about tonight, Paul.
Even
No.
Paddy, I'm not one for saying, but see the Birmingham boy, there's a tomato, and he went to Birmingham. He
Yeah.
might have been ideal sitting
Yeah.
in front of the fence tonight.
Just somebody, just make yourself a wee bit more difficult to beat. You know,
he
instead
might
of
have been
going with the two
He might
wingers,
have been
just
ideal for the away
Yeah.
games in Europe. No, in the
Yeah.
away games in Europe, sitting there protecting the defence a wee bit.
Yeah.
A lot of teams do that. We just attacking too much.
yeah.
I know that's what it's all about, because I do shout for that about attacking. It's all about that.
It's
But when
too
it comes to
naive.
the games, we need to try and
No.
we sit tighter, don't we?
You have to cut. It's about, as the guy said, you have to cut your cloth. You have to cut your cloth accordingly, and that's what I say. Like, we knew, everybody knew, we were hoping against hope when we talked about it at the weekend. It was more probably, I don't know, more in hope than anything else. But at the same time, you knew you were going to be up against it. We were even talking this afternoon about the game, you know, and somebody mentioned to me about Dortmund had been conceding goals, and I says, yeah, they have been conceding goals, but when you look at the guys that they have at the other end of the field, look at the attacking options they have there, they can hit us with everything here tonight. You know what I mean?
That boy Adeyemi was superb.
Unplayable.
What a player. And nae harm to the boy, but I was so glad they went after that injury, because he'd have punished us even more than what we were.
Again, as during the commentary, even Neil Lennon said that during the commentary. You know, like why didn't somebody lay one on him early on? Why didn't somebody, the old school? You know, I know. There was times in that game where we couldn't get near the guy, but at the same time, do you know what? You could imagine, and you know, a Neil Lennon or a Johan Malby or somebody, a big Roy Aiken or something like that, they would have left a bit on him, you know, early on and said, right, that's enough of that. You know what I mean? So we're just
you're right, Gary, that Brandt as well.
Just
the naivety of the whole thing, you know.
He was pulling the to the first off and all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then our naivety, you know, we're so naive. Jerry said we're not streetwise. These guys go down, they roll about, and they get free kicks. Whereas you say, Jerry, we're not streetwise enough when it comes to playing. These guys are, and that penalty, the second penalty, is exactly the kind. That's what you'll get. That's the kind of thing you'll get a penalty for in Europe. I thought it was very soft, to be honest. I thought it was two guys going for the ball, and one of them got it just a split second. There wasn't an awful lot in it, but your guy made a whole meal of it. You know what I mean? And the referee gave it. Yeah, you know. So
it's not. Obviously, say it's maybe cheating, but it's not cute. It's a former.
Yeah.
We got up and go. Maybe we attack them hard. I mean, we've seen it all the time. I mean, even Scott Brown touched Neymar the last time we've been doing in red card, and we fought for it all the time.
Yeah.
We fought for it. So
that's a good point there. That's a good point Ross G makes there. Ross makes a great point there. Like, somebody should be asking Rodgers about his tactics. Somebody should be asking. I would like to ask Brendan tonight, does he feel that he needs to learn about, you know, the players will certainly learn, but does he need to learn about, you know, maybe how to do things differently in Europe? Because, you know, we're just going down the same road here.
Right. But the thing is, Paddy, nobody's going to ask him that question, because when it comes to press conferences, it's all scripted and whatever certain questions there are, and he's not going to answer that either. If it's going to put any heat on him, he's just going to body swerve it, and that's how the only thing he'll come out with is we need to learn from it and move on, and that's that covered for his point of view. He certainly isn't going to go in and discuss his tactics, and nobody's going to ask that question. Nobody in that press room is going to ask that question, because if he doesn't like the question, you'll not be back in asking any questions, and that's how they go.
Do you know the thing? The thing that I often curious about, Andy, is, like, you know, that I've said it before, like, you know, the amount of guys that we have in the back room, all the staff, you know, John Kennedy, Gavin Strachan, all the whole team. Does nobody? I can't believe for 1 second that nobody has pulled Brendan aside at some stage and said, "Listen, guys, you know, maybe we should think about doing things differently." You know, surely they're not all. They can't all think the way he lines up, the team lines up. Surely they can't all think like that. Like, surely, you know, and surely, is that not their job too? Is that not the job of the assistant manager or the, you know, to say to them, "Listen, guys, you know, after what happened last year, you know, again, as I say, we're not football managers, but as I say, I know me, when I'm looking at the options that Dortmund had to attack us tonight, I would have been saying, do you know what? We maybe can't just go all guns blazing here. We're going to have to do things differently here tonight. And I would have been looking at sacrificing at least one of the wingers to say, at least to get us over the first 15, 20 minutes of that game. Just stuff up the midfield, back it up with another man just in front of the back four, and make ourselves difficult to beat and difficult to defend against. But to go out there 4-3-3 with two wingers and expect to take Dortmund on in their own backyard. To me, it's naivety.
Aye.
So I think that's about us now. We're back on tomorrow for our usual Wednesday pod. So we'll be back on at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Scotty's going to be back. I don't know if Jerry's going to. Sorry, Jerry. Davey. If Davey's going to go on or no. But we'll be on anyway. So we'll give you a wee chance to have a wee think about the night, or totally put it out of your mind and decide not to come on. Whatever you want to do. I can understand.
Andy, we're there. We're always there, and that'll never change. That will never ever change. You know what I mean? That's what we do.
Well, that's it. I mean,
the fans are, as you said before, Andy, the fans going out there having a great time. Yeah. They need better. They need better.
They deserve better. Yeah, they deserve better. There's a lot of those guys there. A lot of those guys that burned the best part of a week's holidays from their work.
Aye.
You know what I mean? They'll have spent a fortune. They'll maybe not be home to Thursday or Friday. Some of them. Do you know what I mean? So the travel and support deserve better. You know, that's and we're not expecting to go out and win the Champions League, but we're, you know, we expect to at least be able to go out and put on a performance.
That says there, I've had an audit. I think we were saying 2 wins in 37 games.
Yeah,
31 defeats, 4 draws.
Yeah, and if you actually calculated up the amount of goals we've lost, I wouldn't want to do that, mate, because it's going to be a few.
Well, somebody said that too, Andy, the night earlier. Somebody actually said that to me earlier. When you win your first game 5-1, and after your second game you're in the negative in goals against, when you've won 5-1 in the first one, it's only Celtic can do things like that.
I know. It's a Celtic thing, mate. Aye, definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, so that's us. I just want to thank you for jumping on. And I know it's a difficult thing to do, but I've had to do it myself many times, and it's not enjoyable to do at all. So I appreciate you coming on for that, and also people jumping on to watch us as well, because it's not the most enjoyable thing to do is to jump on a YouTube channel, especially after a result like that. So we appreciate people coming on with their comments and their support and stuff like that. So we will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Scotty will be back. He'll be hosting. So you don't need to put out my gibberish. So that's us. So thanks very much, everybody.
Yes, lads.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Hail, guys.
Hail,
Cheers,
hail.
lads.